best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Absolutely. I cut Bret Hart off there. You can't get off the best there is, the best there was.
The CFB Unfiltered screw job.
Yeah, absolutely the screw job in CFB. No, sorry to the excellence of execution there, Bret Hart, up in Calgary, wherever he's at these days. But in terms of Heisman guys, looking at odds on different betting sites, things like that. Today, I was kind of scrolling through. It seems like the odds-on favorites, and we'll go Big 12 first. I'm going to break it down Big 12 versus SEC. Spencer Rattler, Breece Hall, Brock Purdy, and Bijan Robinson are the kind of top four guys that are getting any kind of recognition. I just think that Spencer Rattler is by far and away the most one just because of the video game numbers that Lincoln Riley's quarterbacks throw out. But go ahead, somebody try to make the case to prove me wrong of why it could be one of these other guys.
Look, I said it a minute ago, Breece Hall. How many times do you see a running back over 1,500 yards last season with the kind of offense they had? Like, they had Brock Purdy. They had Charlie Cole. Like, he wasn't the only option for Iowa State. So being able to put that production up when you have such a loaded team, you can say it hurts you because you can get lost in all the scores and the stats with the padding and everything. But I agree with you. It's Spencer Rattler's race to lose. He's clearly the favorite, but don't get caught up in Hollywood. Don't get caught up in the shoes. Don't get caught up in the NIL deals, because Breece Hall will literally run right past him in the Heisman race if he doesn't watch out.
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate here. I'll go Brock Purdy, right? So I like what you're saying with Breece Hall, but I think Brock Purdy, there was a lot of hype going into him last year, right? A lot of talk, could he be a first-round quarterback, going after his junior year. And I think that, I don't want to say pressure, but the kind of the expectations that he has and the potential that team has with the loaded roster, right? I think he has got a chance to step up to the task. And if he does and kind of prove himself of what a lot of people thought he was going to be, going into his junior year, then he could outshine Breece Hall a little bit. And I think if that happens, if the quarterback, and the running back are both, all worldly players, but the quarterback, is outshining, on the big stage, the quarterback's usually going to be the favorite for the Heisman finalist.
Yeah, we had a couple of comments here that I want to address going back, before we get to our SEC Heisman. We had Sam Kim saying, if LSU has remedied last year's problems, then why is Vegas only favoring LSU by 4 versus the Bruins? Well, Sam, they're favoring them by 4 on the road. Usually the road is good enough for 3 points. So that really means they think LSU is really about a touchdown favorite. So, I think out in Pasadena, and people have to give credit that Chip Kelly's program is really starting to show some improvement out there. So I think if you're favored on the road out there, you're definitely a high favorite. And then Chris Woods, Josh, he says Oklahoma, Georgia, Ohio State, North Carolina. Really? He doesn't agree with Brock's thing. He says straighten them out. I think Josh has already tried to straighten them out. I said that I think Alabama wins SEC, so we can move on from there. And guys, speaking of the SEC Heisman candidates, we came up with a list of JT Daniels, Bryce Young, Isaiah Spiller, and Matt Corral. Quarterback dominated there. I think Matt Corral will have the best numbers of any of those guys. I just don't think that Ole Miss will have the record because that matters to Heisman voters. Maybe it shouldn't. Lamar Jackson was able to win with that Louisville team that was nowhere near in the title picture. But what are your guys' opinions? Who sticks out to you in the SEC Heisman candidates?
I agree with you. And then, of course, having Lane Kiffin being the offensive genius he is. Like Brett mentioned, they have Ely. They have Snoop also. Great running back duo. I think he'll put up more video game numbers, but can he just be consistent? Or is he going to play like he did against Arkansas last season and just go off the rails? You have to see. He can't have one slip-up game where it's like, he kind of cost him that game. We needed him to step up that game, and he didn't. So, obviously, I want to say Bryce Young. But I'm going to agree with you. I think Matt Corral has an opportunity to. But JT Daniels, he's right there on the outside. I think he's third right now in Vegas in the best odds for Heisman, and I think he's going to show why.
Yeah, I'll take – I know he's got the third best odds in Vegas, JT Daniels, but I think of all the Heisman candidates, he might be the one with the best odds to win it in the SEC, and I'll tell you why. Matt Corral, Ole Miss, he might have otherworldly numbers, but if Ole Miss isn't kind of knocking on the door of, a 9-win season, I don't know if he ends up being a finalist. I know there's been other, players in the past that have been on, those kind of level of teams that have made it. Isaiah Spiller at Texas A&M. Again, I think there's a lot of good players in the SEC that he may do well, but I think he's going to get outshined a little bit. And Bryce Young, quarterback Alabama. I think of the big three, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, he is the least likely to succeed of those three. I'm not saying he's going to be successful, but I think he's the least likely. And that leaves you with JT Daniels, right? Of those, between him and Bryce Young, he's more experienced, he's more proven. I think he's my favorite for the SEC as the Heisman finalist.
Bryce Young is uber talented. I mean, he's unbelievably talented. I'm not sure he can ride all the roller coasters at Universal Studios. I don't know if he's tall enough yet, but we'll see. I just don't know if the young man has the size to last in a SEC season. I wish no ill will upon him. I hope he stays healthy as can be all season, but it is a physical league, and when you are that small, it's really worrisome. The only reason I don't think JT Daniels will win the Heisman is because I think Georgia has a under-the-radar player that really no one nationally is talking about, but everyone in Georgia knows what's about to happen with Kendall Milton. Kendall Milton is the next superstar in the SEC, and my prediction is he will overtake Zamir White and James Cook in short order before things go here. I really think that Kendall Milton is – I mean, he's in the same ilk of a Nick Chubb type runner, the same ilk of a Noshawn Marino type runner that just runs with reckless abandon and is really tough to bring down. And I think that's going to prevent JT Daniels from kind of putting him, because once Kirby Smart sees Kendall Milton slashing through, he'll be like, "Oh, run that rock, monkey! Let's keep running it." So that's how that's going to turn out. I think Bryce Young's definitely the favorite, but I would also show some love to, and a lot of people aren't talking about this. Ed Orgeron is going to sling that thing around, and he's got the lefty and Max Johnson. Max Johnson could be a sleeper, guys. I'm telling you, the guy has no conscience whatsoever. He's like a 3-point shooter. He's out there shooting like James Harden. He doesn't care. He's going to pull up from wherever. And
sometimes that's not a good thing.
Max Johnson's going to throw some picks this year, but they are not going to be scared to throw the football. So that could be a little sleeper pick for you here. But now let's go ahead and move on to the big three.
Big three.